Chris Wittyngham, soccer broadcaster. You can see him nationally on Apple TV. He was on the call for us locally last night here on 560 WQAM. It was another amazing Leo Messi game. Can you put into words, just in, a few short games, what Lionel Messi has done, not just for pro soccer in Miami, but you saw what was going on in Dallas. What is happening here?
Well, I think we kind of knew that there would be a crazy traveling roadshow whenever Lionel Messi went away from home, but we'll see it in bursts. There isn't an away game on the schedule, I think, until August the 26th in MLS. And so we didn't know what it would be like when it actually comes time for that game to happen. And then you have an elimination game that's kind of put together in 4 days. And so you see the opening news is that the Dallas tickets are going for starting at $199. Then they sold out in 25 minutes. Then get in the door was like $600 at one point, ended up at like closing at $500. Your average ticket price was $850. And honestly, watching the game and obviously calling the game last night, the noise from the stadium was kind of odd because Messi would touch the ball. Everyone would go crazy, but then the very same people who are, I was told, largely wearing Argentina shirts with Messi's name on the back would then get behind FC Dallas. So it was like the fans were there to support Messi and FC Dallas. So it was really cool to see that stadium, which normally does not have the best atmosphere, really get up for it and put together this massive occasion. And then as long as Messi keeps going city to city and delivering, right? He doesn't show up and not do anything. He's remarkable in every game that he's played in so far. This thing is only going to continue to build. I've seen already like the views on the goal itself are somewhere around like 15 to 30 million, depending on the platform that you're looking at. This guy is elevating the profile of this league. It's seemingly once every 5 days, and we've never seen anyone do anything like this before.
And Chris, let me compare my football to your football.
Yes.
Where when Tyreek Hill comes to your team, it makes everybody on offense better. Are guys getting better, or is Messi just real good?
I think guys are getting better because it's sort of, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because Messi is that good that he requires everyone to sort of get to his level. So I think in the first 3 games, we saw a player named Robert Taylor, who is a Finnish winger that's sort of been a career journeyman, all of a sudden find himself in acres of space, but also he knows what to do with it. He knows once he gets the ball, how to have the opportunities that other great players could have. It's just that the game is made that much easier for him because Lionel Messi is on the field. I would say the one way in which we've seen this team elevate is when Lionel Messi's sort of attitude towards the game, because it's not just that he's great in the service of others. We've seen other great stars where, Cristiano Ronaldo can just score goals for fun, but he doesn't really involve his teammates in that. It's just sort of his one-on-one ability. You put the crosses in towards him, he'll nod them in. He's one-on-one on the wing, he'll get beyond someone, put a cross in himself, or go for goal himself. Lionel Messi's entire being is about serving others on the field as well as scoring goals himself. And so when you see in that third game against Orlando, Josef Martinez, he receives the ball in the penalty area. He takes the ball off his chest, and he's a prolific goal scorer. He's one of MLS's top 10 all-time goal scorers. And Josef Martinez takes it off the chest and passes instead of shooting. And I think that's sort of emblematic of this entire team rising to the moment of not just Messi being a great player, but Messi being a great player that involves everyone, all 11 players on the pitch.
It looks to me like he's having fun out there too, even running off the field last night. Like, it looks like he's having fun out there, which I don't know. Was that a given that he was going to enjoy this? Because I kind of had in my head, is he going to have buyer's remorse, for lack of a better term? He gets to a lesser league and the competition is lesser, and maybe he's just out there going through the motions. But like you said, he's delivered every time he's been out there, but he looks like he's having fun out there as well.
I think it's been a little bit of a surprise to me the degree to which he is having fun, because like you said, it's not the biggest stage. You don't go week to week playing in 90,000 seat stadiums in MLS. It's largely stadiums between 20 and 30,000. That's kind of the level at which the league has settled. You have a level of player that's lower than what he's used to, a level of opposition that's different than what he's used to. You could honestly expect to be kicked in game after game, because when you're worse than the player that's opposite you, you're just going to go and kick him, because that's really the only recourse that you have. So the level of fun has definitely been a surprise, because he didn't really enjoy his last 2 years in Paris. the Barcelona experience towards the end was really difficult because of the financial situation that Barcelona found themselves in. He hasn't really enjoyed his club football for a while. And like you said, he could have just arrived and thought, man, my teammates aren't that good. This atmosphere is way different. It's 1 billion degrees in Texas. It's 1 billion degrees in Miami. This is so different than what
on Commercial Boulevard.
the Whataburger down the street in Frisco. It's a completely different milieu than anything he's ever been in before. And I just can't believe he's embraced it to this degree, because we've seen other players come and not come anywhere near to that level of joy. Obviously, winning every game helps, but it seems like even before that, you go back to the first game and that free kick goal that he scores, he runs straight to his family that are in a field suite. That's not something that's ever been a reality. Obviously, his family is always in a box and well protected, because you can't have them in and around the commoners because they'll completely hound them. So I think normalcy, as much as it can be around Messi, is a huge part of why he's enjoying this so much.
And another big name that brought in was Tata. I learned it. I called him Tutu for a couple weeks, Chris. I'm sorry.
I'm sure it wouldn't bother him.
but Tata, could Phil Neville, could he have done this too? Or is Tata really making a difference?
I think he is making a difference. I would be curious to see what Phil Neville would have done with this team. Obviously, I think English coaches are generally pragmatists. And so if you look at the first half of the year, he was trying to adjust around the fact that the team just didn't have a high talent level to create chances. So he kind of turned them into a very defensive team. And that's sort of the exact opposite message you want to send before you get the greatest player of all time, who likes to very much play in a certain way. He could have had Miami playing in a possession-based system, but Tata has a track record of having done that in his career, whereas Phil Neville has not. I think, Tata Martino has been doing this for 30 years in Argentina, in Europe, in national teams. He's gotten teams to embrace a certain style of play that well suits Messi, that uses the ball, that is meant to try and pull teams apart and switch the point of attack and create chances on the edge of the penalty area on the ground, not just by putting crosses in. So I think his style is certainly coming through, but he's also right now having to find some answers. I think we saw in the game last night that I'm not certain that the starting lineup was exactly what it should have been. I think opposition teams are now trying to figure out tactically how to approach this Miami team, not just Messi, Busquets, but the other 9 players in the team that presumably are a little bit weaker links. I think other coaches are going to start to figure out answers, and he's going to have to adjust. I actually think he did very well in the second half of last night's game to bring players on that changed the game, including Ben Hakremaski, who scored the second goal and scored the winning penalty in the shootout. But I do think that he is incredibly well suited to this particular job.
You mentioned the joy Messi's having and obviously the success scoring goals and all that. But are you surprised by how competitive him, Busquets, and even yesterday Alba have looked? I go back to Orlando City the other day. I was telling Hoch and Crowder, they have a 2-goal lead. They're in stoppage time, 90-plus minutes, and him and Busquets are chasing down loose balls, going in 50-50 hard at loose balls. Like, they're not afraid to use their body. Yesterday is such a perfect example. They're down 4-2. It's hot as hell. There's 20 minutes left in the game. It would have been fine, right? Had Messi and Busquets just kind of milled it in the last 20 minutes. Great first 3 games in the league. Like, it would have been fine. Nobody would have been upset. And instead, what do? Like, they're playing their asses off late in these MLS Leagues Cup games. Like, are you surprised at how competitive you've seen, especially from Messi?
Well, I do think that if you compare them to previous designated players that have come into the league and have kind of realized that it was the last step in their careers, it's considerably higher intensity. That being said, you can't really be that surprised when players who have achieved as much as these guys have achieved just want to show up and keep doing what they've done. I almost wonder if the fact that it's 3 of them and not just one of them surrounded by a bunch of normal MLS players sort of gives that sense of, oh, this feels more like what we used to do every week in Barcelona. And you sort of feed off that competitive level with each other. And then that translates into the team. But you're 100% right. Not just that Lionel Messi could have looked at the clock at 70 minutes and gone, we're 4-2 down. I don't know. But it's more that they always seem to come, they're coming through in big moments. Messi came through in a huge moment in the game last night where they're down 4-3. He steps up over the free kick and does what you expect him to do, what he's done his entire career. And so for me, the fact that they are not only meeting the moment, but rising above it, they've given us enough, right? Like you said, if it ended after the Orlando game, I think a lot of people might have been expecting Messi arrives and it was going to be hard and maybe they get through the group, but then they get knocked out and then they spend some time growing together as a team. Now you're looking at a home game against either Charlotte or Houston on Friday, and they can just keep going and keep making this fun and interesting and captivating and continue to kind of have a control over this Miami market because they realize by winning games and by producing magical moments, they command the attention of the city and the country.
And Chris, I was amazed that now I would say twice in a week and a half, Inter Miami is leading Sports Center, which I never saw Inter Miami on Sports Center before. But just speaking of, like Solana and Hawk said, the excitement that Busquets and Messi are playing with, could this start some kind of trend? Because we know Messi's situation with Beckham and equity in the team and all that stuff. Would other international players see this and think about coming over?
The only thing is that I think the number of players who could command anywhere near the level of attention that Messi does is like, I think that list is like two more. It's Ronaldo and it's Neymar. And I think even Neymar is like kind of 3/4 of what Messi and Ronaldo represent. These guys are just such enormous stars that I don't think that anyone other than Messi could command this level of attention because not only obviously has he done so much in the game, he's a World Cup winner, 7-time Ballon d'Or winner, soon to be 8. He has this incredible resume, but also he just does these incredibly captivating things on the pitch every week. He's got this bigger than life kind of aura around him. He doesn't even need to feed into it himself. So many people will do it for him that obviously stars have come in the past. I think of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was a huge star when he arrived. And I think also had a little bit of that kind of mainstream crossover that you were talking about, going on PTI and Jimmy Kimmel and being charismatic and funny. He was able to do that for a while. But to combine it with winning, to combine it with the size of this player's resume, I don't think it's something where you walk into a board meeting and go, who's the next Messi? I think you have to enjoy it for the next however long it's going to be. It's 2.5 years at least on the contract, but you have to enjoy it while it's here because I don't think this is a replicable model for how you capture the attention. It's a unique phenomenon because Messi is one of a kind.
Based on 4 games, will Inter Miami be the odds-on favorite to win the MLS next season?
Next season for sure. I think for sure. I mean, because
he's
not
just
only
running roughshod through The game last night, Solana's texting me at the end of the game, and the vibe that I got from him was almost when I went to UM in the 80s, which was, it doesn't matter how much UM is down in any game, you know that they're coming back because they're capable. Like Solana said, I mean, you're down 2 goals with 25 minutes to play or so. Like, yeah, okay, we'll see you on the next one. And it was like he was waiting for the comeback, specifically from Messi too, and everything happened. So then I wonder, is he going to be able to keep up that clip for an entire season next season?
But not only that, Hawk, when we brought on Witty prior to the Leagues Cup, we kind of all discussed the numbers to get into the MLS playoffs don't look promising, right? So Witty, you had mentioned focus on Leagues Cup, US Open Cup, you're in the semifinal. These are areas where he can shine. And then you work towards next season in the MLS. Bro, I mean, look what they're doing. I know there's some games he won't play because of international duties, and there's also one game where he might not play because of the field. But, like, why can't they continue this and make history get into the MLS?
The target for the remainder of the season is 8 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. That feels doable in the current state. Like, that feels like possible.
And again, I have to write this down.
So they have 12 games left. The target in order to get in the playoffs, per the math from previous years, is 43 points. Okay. They're currently sitting on 18. So they've got to get 25 more points for the rest of the year. You get 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, and none for a loss.
I was told there would be no math.
Well, you're the one who asked for the math. If you just took me at my word and said
wins 20 and losses.
25 points in 12 games, 8 wins, a draw, and 3 losses. That, we think, will get you over the line.
Do they have games in hand over the Lightning or no?
They do actually have games in hand over the remainder of their competition. They've played 22, and some teams above them have played 24.
Flashbacks there.
But so it's 8 wins, a draw, and 3 losses. But Hawk, to answer kind of both of your previous points, one, I completely agree with the sense of that inevitability. Because I grew up in Miami, I don't have that confidence as a sports fan. There was a moment last night where we're like, is Messi really going to do this? Come back from 2 goals behind. You're seeing him dripping sweat. It's 100 degrees in Frisco, Texas. And, he's walking around kind of biding his time. You're going, see, is he going to do this too? And sure enough, he did. And I think that will become the feeling, not just of, it's kind of like going against Patrick Mahomes, where you're like, okay, even you could be up 17. You can be up 24. No lead is big enough against Patrick Mahomes. No lead is big enough against Lionel Messi because he could just go and do that. And that's a level of confidence and, frankly, the level of terror that opposition will now feel going forward. And that will make them the favorite, not only because, in Vegas, they will become by far the most bet on team because they're going to become the Cowboys. Everyone's going to want to have an Inter Miami ticket. As a matter of fact, I think they're the favorites to win this Leagues Cup, even though I think there are much better teams than them in the competition. They're going to be the odds on favorite to win MLS Cup next year. No question.